Welcome back to some new malicious compliance stories, where people complied to the letter, but not the spirit of our request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Paying for Overtime. I've been at this truly terrible job for a year, but began noticing issues after the first month. This is in healthcare, and we work with very vulnerable people. I've seen some horrendous ethical issues with the lack of competency among employees and my employer. My employer has no respect for boundaries or work-life balance, which are essential in this field if you want to avoid burnout. Also has horrible work-life balance, time management and organizational skills themselves, leading them to be behind on all work constantly, with over 2,000 emails sitting in their inbox. This also resulted in much of my work being delayed, and clients getting upset that they were waiting for things that the employer needed to do. Because of this incompetence, I get constant emails and texts asking me to work on off days, or my employer texting at 8 PM or 7 AM and expecting a reply. I have set very clear boundaries from the start that I don't work outside my hours. I've also raised concerns about the issues, which resulted in my employer becoming defensive and emotional and changing nothing. Since giving my notice, the employer has been pushing boundaries even more. So, being the compliant human that I am, and because I do need to wrap up things that I have been waiting for my employer to get to for months, I began responding and including every single work-related communication outside of my hours. Or requests for a small talk that I need to complete on an off day as hours worked, and have banked up some nice overtime. Last week, the employer sent an email saying that I am no longer allowed to work overtime, and every hour worked overtime will be banked as vacation time instead. I don't want that, because if I am working overtime, I deserve to be paid for it. So I immediately stopped responding to anything after hours or on off days, and have been working only 8 hours on my scheduled days. The frustration and passive aggression coming from my employer since I did that is unmatched. Truly, they should get an award for the snarky and condescending emails and texts they have sent me. I only have a few days left and will be filing an ethics complaint for the many egregious things I have seen once I am out of there. It's what they deserve, and I can't wait. The next story is called New Overtime Rules. Some years back, I worked for a billing company, doing a ton of different things. I had a mix of daily tasks which had to be done first, and other tasks with assorted done dates. Because of this, relatively quickly after I was done with training, I was working overtime constantly. The daily tasks tended to chew up most of the day, and I needed overtime to work on the other tasks. My boss Chad was a big penny pincher though. So after I'd had consistent overtime for a week, I got pulled into the office. I see you've been doing a lot of overtime. From now on, I want no more overtime, whatsoever. But Chad, I won't be able to get all of the work done without overtime. We can't afford to pay overtime right now, so just do your best. I shrugged and went back to work. Chad had a bad habit of undervaluing the work of others, so I figured his tune would change fairly quickly. A little over 1 week later, I'm back in the office. At the time, I had assumed Malicious Compliance was complete, but things got strange. I've been told you don't have the coding done for the upcoming project. Well, you told me no overtime, and my daily tasks take up too much of my work hours. I don't have enough time to do those projects. Well, you need to get these things done. So work whatever hours you need to, but make sure that at the end of the week, you are still only working 40 hours. After a brief pause of shock, I said, "So, you want me to work however long I need to and then leave early on Fridays?" Chad, who was barely paying attention, said, "Yes, just get the work done." A strange policy to be sure, but a welcome run. Chad didn't realize the box he had opened. Working overtime Monday to Thursday did allow me to get the other projects on my plate done, but it also meant that every Friday I would leave early, very early. Some weeks I only worked 1 or 2 hours. This meant that sometimes the daily tasks didn't get done and had to be lumped into Mondays. It took a few months for Chad to notice. "I've heard you've been leaving early on Fridays. You can't just leave when you want. It makes the other employees jealous and it's delaying tasks over the weekend. You can't just make your own hours. Who okayed this?" "Well, you did, Chad. I'm working the schedule you told me to work. I needed the overtime to get all of my tasks done. And this was your solution. Well, I don't remember that. A flash of color indicated he did, indeed, remember that. Look, just email me for approval every time you need overtime. Now, at this point, I thought the malicious compliance was over. But, unknown to me, the saga was continuing, without me even intending to. Because I listened to my boss. I emailed every time I needed to work overtime, which was every day. Like clockwork, I had an alarm. 1 hour before my shift ended, I would draft a fresh email with the reason for that particular day and send it. I, foolishly, thought nothing was wrong. Chat approved every time. The request was fulfilled. But then, a month later, back into the office. I've decided that I can trust you to handle your own overtime, so you don't need to email me for approval anymore. Oh, well, thanks. I'll make a note of that. I was later told by the HR staff in charge of timesheets that Chad only told me that because he was sick of dealing with my emails every day. And that's the tale of how I got to essentially set my own schedule, as long as it was over 40 hours a week. I am very happy to no longer be working for Chad. The last story is called Spooky Food. Years ago, my husband was a middle school teacher. A week before Halloween, my husband got an email from the school secretary about the Halloween potluck. The email specifically states to bring spooky food. I love to cook. I also like to experiment with ways to make food fun and whimsical. My husband asked me to please make something savory and to please make it spooky. Spooky, you got it. Fast forward to lunchtime on Halloween. I walk into the teacher's lounge with a cookie sheet covered in foil. I take off the foil and asked if anyone would like a bat wing. They were actually whole barbecue chicken rings. However, I added some black food coloring to the sauce. The barbecue sauce was my homemade recipe. Let's just say I got several gross out faces and gags. My husband pointed out that we were told to bring spooky food. Apparently, no one got the memo but him. The rest of the food was typical potluck food. Nothing spooky. Finally, 15 minutes later, a teacher decided she was going to have a bat wing. She did have to take a few deep breaths, and the sight of the ring grossed her out. She finally decided if she closed her eyes, she might be able to eat it. After one bite, she told everyone how delicious the rings were. For the rest of the lunchtime, no one touched the rings. We assumed we'd be taking them home. Fast forward to the next day. My husband heads over to the teacher's lounge to grab some leftovers for lunch. There's plenty of food, but the rings are gone. 6 weeks later, at the Christmas potluck, we find out what happened. Apparently, a campus aide was putting the food away when she got some sauce on her finger and licked it off. Realizing how delicious it was, she decided to sit down and help herself to a nice serving of rings. She then bragged about the rings to several other staff members, and they decided to have a nice snack of rings. Next time one asks for spooky food, don't be surprised when someone brings a delicious dish that grosses you out. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.